He's working something. He's working something. Okay, today is Tuesday, June 24th, 11 a.m. This is the Ventura County Air Pollution Control Board meeting, and we'll start with our Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States in honor of our upcoming July 4th recognition. Join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good, thank you. All right, then next we have our minutes from our meeting of June 10th. Motion to approve? Second. And a second? One abstention? Any others? Then they are adopted. Thank you. Item 3, public and consent agenda items. Do we have any public cards submitted? No cards submitted. Okay, item 4, board comments. Members of the board, comments? Anything you wish to inform us on? Give us any updates on? Anything you care about?
Madam Chair, I'd just quickly add that CARB is just finalizing their draft on the climate action plan, and we will be, I think it's actually been, the draft is being released in some form, and also the Department of Housing and has also weighed in. So we'll be getting some of that information. I don't know if we're planning a hearing or to hear it, or to even have comments on it in front of this board in one of our future dates. It's a pretty tight timeline. I think it's up for adoption in November. Is that right? Good. So I'm wondering if we could have, I don't know what the comment period, when the comment period opens and closes, the official comment period, but I think if we were advised on that, perhaps we could have somewhat of an executive summary report. I mean, I know the document's a huge piece, but maybe in terms of what they're looking at in the state, and then obviously what we're doing here locally to go along with that.
Well, certainly staff, we can certainly provide a summary to your board and interface. Actually, I have to go up to the Air Resources Board on Thursday, and their AB 32 scoping plan will be before their board, and I'm going up because our air quality management plan is up for approval by their board, so I'll be taking great notes for you.
Great. And I would only add that the Cynthia Burt, I think is her name, just released the documents in terms of how the EIRs, again, the draft, and all the folks that do EIRs out there have been wondering how they deal with climate action plan, how they deal with this issue, and they just released that information as a draft right now. So we're getting much closer, much tighter to that. So everybody can feel a little bit more comfortable rather than saying, oh, there's no guidelines, so we're doing everything we possibly can. There'll be some real hard items that they'll have to put in there. So.
That will be of interest to many. Other comments? I have a couple I'd like to make. One is that I believe we all received from our APCO that there's a hearing board position vacancy, and it's for the medical professional member, and for all of us to think about folks in the community. Have we received any interest in this yet, Mike? Just not yet? Okay, so for all of you, think of those in your community who might be willing to serve on this and provide some expertise. Yes.
Can I piggyback onto that? I had a conversation with our member that I remember years ago when you were asking me to come up with a committee member on that board, and I was talking to him because he's been working with this medical director, and he just emphasized how many times he thinks that medical director's opinion was able to significantly get the attention of whoever it was they were trying to put the regulations on, because that medical person could talk in a different language about the health impacts and say it. So I think it's not going to be easy for us to find somebody who's willing to do this. This person, this physician was on almost since the beginning, as I believe, and he really was passionate and committed to it. But it really is important for us to find somebody. So I'd like to sort of challenge us all to kind of all hands on deck and pedal to the metal and try to find somebody, because I think when it comes to rule making and rule implementation and stuff, it's important to have that medical professional that can talk specifically about, you do this, it has this medical impact on people's lives. So, thanks.
And if we would post that, I would hope on our page, and also, sometimes you send a little clip out to the press and they'll print it, that there's an opening, we're looking for someone too. If you haven't already done that, you're usually ahead of the curve. Thank you. And then the last, comment on the recent Skylines, publication, our monthly report, talking about, obviously what it focuses on, which is clean air. And one of the things that, I appreciated was that the headline on the piece regarding progress despite more population, because even though we still have attainment goals in areas, to say that there has been progress made, and that what we do and what others do in respective regions and basins to clean the air, that there has been progress made, and we just have to keep continuing to reach for the goal. So appreciate the work and as always in the Skylines. Okay, any other comments?
Madam Chair, if I might
Yes.
apologize. I wanted to say, on the Skylines, I appreciated this time, there was an opt-out to not get it physically mailed, but also to go online and to get it online and recognize that when it goes online, you get notified. I think that was great. I think cut down on our costs and the paperwork costs, but also just I think I kept track, I think this last 3 weeks, I think I read 7 or 8 things from the APCD, from board hearings to a little comment card to this hearing to that. And as board members, I'm wondering, we're coming anyway. I'm just wondering if there's a way that we can cross-reference all that. We see it come across and we just kind of put it in the file. And I did keep track, Mike, and it's not that I'm trying to eliminate paper. I know it's important. It also takes time and staff time to go back and purge those lists and deal with it. So I understand that. But I was just looking at the sheer volume of mail out that we got that, to be honest, wasn't really that pertinent to what I was feeling, other than to the budget things that I needed. So that's just a concern, and maybe that's only because as board members we get all of that. I don't know if every member of the public does. So
Not every member of the public. The board does receive a lot of material. And actually, with my new management assistant, we're planning to send the board a memo and saying, unless we hear back from you, we would kind of like to drop the mailing out on the rule workshops.
right.
We'd continue to, and ask basically the similar question. You know, if you'd like to opt out of the advisory committee packets, that's fine. Also, I know some board members, their staff do like to receive the packet, but we'll be posing that question and to cool down the mailing list, certainly.
Are those packets posted online? Is the advisory board
Yes, it is
agenda posted online?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's okay. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Appreciate
So
that.
give us the option to opt out on
Right.
some of that.
Right. Appreciate that, Mike. Thank
Great.
you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Good. Any others? Okay, closed session, we do not have one needed nor planned, so we'll move to our regular agenda. Item 6, public hearing on the Air Pollution Control District final budget. Good morning.
Chair Long, members of the board, I'm Mike Villegas, Air Pollution Control Officer, and I'll keep this short as we went over the budget in detail at our June 10th meeting. The total proposed expenditures are $373,000 less than the current fiscal year budget. Services and supplies decreased by $387,000, and this is mainly due to a significant decrease of $229,000 in our liability insurance costs. And I want to point out, this is really not a rate change. This is really a change in our claim history. If you go back 7, 8 years, you can remember the Halico lawsuit when Halico Engineering actually sued the district over a proposed authority to construct. It was extremely expensive litigation to both sides. Nothing was gained for either side. It was a complete waste. And we finally paid off that claim. So what we're seeing there is a dramatic drop on our claim history. And also there's a one-time decrease in our cost allocation plan, which is how we reimburse the county for services such as the treasurer, human resources, of $100,000. Salaries and benefits are up by $25,000, but and the increase actually would have been larger, but it was offset by the fact that we've paid off the debt service on the pension obligation bonds. Fixed assets are down by $11,000 due to reduced spending on capital assets. Revenue is estimated to be $1.65 million less than the current fiscal year budget, but this is largely due to the move of the pass-through grant monies, the Carl Moyer Agricultural Assistance School Bus monies, from the operating fund portion of the budget into the newly created special revenue fund, and this accounts for $1.63 million of the decrease. The other major portion is that our federal grant is going to be lower by $88,000, and this is because we've completed the equipment purchase portion for our new data acquisition system project. We have one increment 2 request, and it's a proposal to support VCTC's dial-a-route program at a level of $25,000. Based on concerns raised at the June 10th hearing, I've asked for an update on the program from VCTC and requested a more detailed annual report. The letter provided to your board is VCTC's response to these issues, and Mr. Darren Kettle is also here from VCTC, should you have any questions for him. The bottom line, excluding the $300,000 in contingency, the district would be looking at a net cost of $324,000. The budget does contain, as always, a very conservative estimate from fines and penalties of $104,000. The actual revenue over the past 5 years has averaged $325,000, and it's actually that average is going to climb because it looks like this year we're going to be collecting $425,000 in penalties. So we're expecting, I think conservatively, to see another $220,000 of revenue above what's in the budget. So this dramatically drops the net cost to the district. The other thing that's going on is we did not include in the proposed budget any revenue from the California Air Resources Board Portable Equipment Registration Program due to a lack of financial information available from the state. But our estimates, working with the state and other districts, look like we'd receive a minimum of $20,000 to $30,000 in the upcoming fiscal year, which would bring our net cost down to under $90,000. District staff, of course, will continue to review all our programs to reduce costs and pursue additional revenue. I need to note that your board was provided with 2 updated pages related to reserves and designations in the fund balance, and these changes are only in the manner in which the numbers were presented, and they do not affect the budget or the fund balance in any manner. In closing, your board standing committee reviewed the budget at their March meeting and recommended adoption of the proposed budget. Your board's approval would also include the adoption of the special revenue fund portion of the proposed budget, and this is the fund that handles our pass-through grants, and in this fund, revenues and expenditures are always balanced because it's state money in, and we get our administration portion, and we pass the rest of the money through the grantees. Yes, it is. And that's all I have. I'll do my best to answer questions. Yes, it is.
This is the second public hearing. Are there any cards submitted? Any questions from the board members? So motion and a second. Any objections to that? Hearing none, so ordered. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Kettle, thank you for your detailed letter. Appreciate it. Okay, item 7 then is the proposed agricultural assistance program projects to be funded. Mr. Villegas.
Staff is recommending that your board approve grants totaling $129,919 to help pay for 11 new diesel engines to repower agricultural pump engines. The new engines are approximately 80% cleaner and 10% more efficient than the existing engines. Nitrogen oxide emissions would be reduced by 5 tons per year, reactive organic compounds by 0.8 of a ton per year, and toxic diesel particulate by 0.2 of a ton per year. In addition, carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas, would be reduced by 48 tons per year. The old engines will be destroyed to ensure that these high-emitting engines are not placed into service at another location. Your approval also authorizes me to sign the grants and approve any minor administrative changes if necessary. To date, the district has funded 124 agricultural pump engines, and we are continuing to accept applications via our agricultural assistance program. That's all I have.
So motion and a second. Are there any questions? I have one quick question. Where are they taken to be destroyed?
Generally what they do is they go back to the distributor and they cut a hole in one of the cylinder walls with a welder.
Okay. Okay. Motion second. Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered on that item. And then next item up is item number 8, proposed lease addendum for APCD air monitoring station at Simi Valley High School.
Good morning, Chair Long, members of the board. I'm Keith Duvall, representing the Air Pollution Control District. Since 1973, the district has operated an air monitoring station at Simi Valley High School under a series of lease agreements and extensions. The current lease agreement will expire June 30th. Both the district and the Simi Valley Unified School District would like to renew this lease for another 5 years or until June 30th, 2013. Staff is recommending that your board authorize the Air Pollution Control Officer to sign the 5-year lease addendum attached to the board letter. The terms of the lease addendum are similar to those previous leases with the Simi Valley Unified School District. Be glad to answer any questions.
There's a motion and a second. A question
I
first.
have a question. During the fires that went through there a couple of years ago, we lost electricity, I think,
Yes.
and so the air monitor wasn't working at a time when everybody was real interested in the air quality. Is there some kind of backup generator or something that can be worked out so we don't end up in that same situation, particularly being right there where Rocketdyne is?
Well, right now we don't have backup power. It is something that we've looked into because of the fires that go through that area year to year or occasionally. It is somewhat susceptible to power outages, but we also have to balance the cost of the power backup generator. But it is something that we've considered.
Do you think the school may have a backup there and that we could tap into it?
Not that I'm aware of. We haven't been made aware that the school has any backup power.
Yes.
Just raises a question out of sheer curiosity here. The Caltrans has the emergency phones out in remote areas that have little solar panels on them that power them. Are these units susceptible to that kind of a power supply?
They may be susceptible or able to use some solar cells. However, the equipment that we have in our stations is pretty energy intensive, so we may not be able to put a big enough solar array to really generate.
Just
all of
wondering
the power.
as an emergency backup or load mitigation device, it would be worth even looking at.
That's a possibility.
Could you look into these, a possibility of how we can keep that air monitoring station up in the event that we lose electricity again?
Sure, we can do that for you.
Thank you.
Glad to.
Move, we have the motion.
There's a motion and a second. Any objection to the motion? Hearing none, so ordered. Thank you. Good questions. Item 9, cancellation, July 8th, August 12th, regular board meeting.
No objection.
Motion objection. No. Motion and second and no objections. We will then see you all in September. If I could sing.
Sing it.
Okay, that motion passed unanimously. And that concludes the work of the board today. Thank you. Thank you, staff, all, for your good work. Have a great summer.
Let's ask which one to be the egg commissioner since we've met the guy's egg commissioner.